The woman eventually admitted she made the whole thing up. Elizabeth Coast was just 17 when she accused Jonathan of Montgomery of the abuse. There were no witnesses, just her word against his.
Elizabeth Coates' mother caught her reading adult material, and instead of taking accountability for her actions, she accused her neighbor of sexual assault. Fortunately, she decided to tell the truth and recant her story.
Elizabeth Coast said she's sorry.
Before you get sentenced, what would you like to say to Jonathan Montgomery?
He can answer that.
Okay. I am very sorry for the mistake that I've made and the lie that I told. And this is me taking responsibility for that.
See, gentlemen, she wants to take responsibility for her actions. Unfortunately, it was after the young man had already spent almost 5 years in jail.
Well, almost everything that came out of her mouth in court today was emotional. I'm going to read to you one statement she said that kind of sums up the entire day. I never forgot about Jonathan. My life was ruined by it, and so was his. I decided to take serious my faith and to give up the lie. I may go to jail, but I have to right this wrong. I selfishly try to protect myself. The truth is, Jonathan lived in a physical prison, and I lived in a prison in my mind. A very emotional day.
Gentlemen, she is not afraid to face the consequences for her actions, and while facing those consequences, she is still a victim. She said it herself. While the young man lived in a physical prison, she lived in a mental one, otherwise known as crazy.
In court, Coast said she lied about the sexual assault that sent Jonathan Montgomery away for 4.5 years. Coast said she didn't want to disappoint her mother, who was portrayed in court as a heavy-handed disciplinarian. Coast's mother caught her reading adult material, and that's when the lies began. Coast blamed Montgomery because her mother kept pushing the issue, and Montgomery had moved away, and Coast never thought that he would be found, but he was.
In her book, Little White Lies, Deep Dark Secrets, The Truth About Why Women Lie, Susan Baresh said, "From girlhood onward, in part, we have learned to lie from our mothers. The majority of women with whom I spoke remarked that their mothers taught them the value of saving face by lying as a method to preserving oneself, a way of avoiding shame that can follow the truth. When Elizabeth was caught reading adult material, she needed to save face. Who cares who else was hurt in the process? Now, let's take a look at her sentencing. Surely she got at least 5 years, since that's the amount of time that Jonathan served."
Coast attorney Ron Smith said she should be given credit for coming forward, even though it took her almost 5 years. Judge Bonnie Jones agreed, giving Coast a 2-month sentence, which she can serve on weekends beginning this weekend.
While the man who did nothing served almost 5 years, the young lady who actually committed a crime received 2 months and can do that time on the weekends. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, it does. Check out his reasoning as to why his client deserved a small sentence.
I wanted to convey to the judge that if there's somebody else out there that did this, do you want to give a big sentence to somebody and send the wrong message? Don't come forward, we're going to lock you up.
And in the end, the judge believed that line of thought from attorney Ron Smith. So, how much did the judge give attention to that fact? Well, she gave a 5-year sentence, and all of it suspended, but 2 months that Elizabeth Coast can serve during the weekend. And also, and this is very important, restitution. Elizabeth Coast must make money and pay Jonathan Montgomery $90,000.
Now, this genius has said that we don't want to give people stiff sentences because it will discourage others from coming forward. While we're at it, how about we give light sentences to perpetrators of unsolved murders? Maybe that'll encourage them to come forward. She does have to pay restitution, but let's see if she actually pays it and how long it takes her to pay it. And let's see who actually bails her out and helps her pay for her restitution. Essentially, her life is still the same, with the exception of a few weekends. Yet she's ruined this young man's life. Pay attention, men. There is no justice, even when you're innocent. And I'm going to keep preaching this message until it sinks in. Here are the reasons why she lies. Number one, she's emotional. She did not want her mother to think, well, that on her own she would indulge in reading adult material. Someone else had to have influenced her. She's delusional. She becomes delusional and starts believing the narrative that she tells herself in her head. Next, she becomes manipulative. Now, her manipulation began when she wanted others to believe what she believed in her head. If you recall, they said earlier that, well, there was no evidence that the young man had done anything to her. It was simply her word against his, and everyone believed her. She manipulated the situation to produce an outcome that she wanted. Next, and finally, no accountability. There was a lack of accountability for her actions, and these things will continue until we start to make a change, men, until we hold women accountable for their actions. So here is why she makes false allegations. Well, she can make them and somehow she is still the victim. Remember, she said she lived in a mental prison, although the young man lived in a physical one. Number two, she is praised for dishonest honesty. Now think about this. She lied, then told the truth, and we are somehow to believe that she should be admired for that. Third thing is the punishment does not fit the crime. So when she lies, she is still the victim, she's praised for dishonesty, and any punishment that she gets will not fit the crime. 2 months of weekend jail versus the 5 years that the innocent man served. Thank you, gentlemen, for listening, and be careful out there.